Hey, I'm Deb.
And I'm Karen, and we're here to answer all of your real estate related questions with the same thoughtful advice we'd give our best friends. Deb, what's today's question?
Today's question is, what is going on with the real estate market right now? I get this question pretty much anywhere I go. And then Karen, I'm sure you get it too, right? How's real estate or what's going on with real estate or whatever, something about real estate, which is fine. Ask me those questions. I'm happy to share. So I thought we would share a little bit of what's going on. I think we talked a little bit like a few months ago, but things are sort of changing rapidly and yet not changing rapidly. So that's what I wanted to talk about today is sort of what buyers and sellers should be expecting. And I want to preface this, and part of the reason that this came up, I belong to a Facebook group that is mostly realtors out of Indianapolis. And it's very interesting to me that the market up there is really very different. And I don't know, Karen, if you've seen any of that or if you've, because I know you can work statewide.
I haven't. I don't know what's happening in Indianapolis, but
Well, there was somebody that was, it's one of these Facebook groups, so everybody's just kind of bitching and moaning. And so there was a realtor kind of complaining that another realtor got very upset because there were multiple offers and her buyers moved too slowly and didn't get a chance. And somehow that was the listing agent's fault. I don't know. But it made me realize, like, oh, okay, that market up there is still a very hot seller's market, which means that buyers should expect multiple offers, that the ball is kind of in the seller's court. They can get what they command, kind of thing. And I just came off of a situation this weekend where we had tons of showings on a house, got one offer. It was a good offer. We're very happy. I kept telling the sellers like 2 months ago, you'd be really happy with this. But it definitely was not, I think, on par with what we would expect up in Indianapolis or what we would have expected last year. So that's what kind of got me thinking, like, hey, we should just kind of update people on what's going on.
and what do you think? I mean, if you had so many viewings on that house, what was one of the or a couple of the reasons as why you think, or did the other agents tell you what they thought
Yeah.
didn't work out, why there was no other offers?
Yeah, there were a few people that were like, it's a beautiful home. It really was a very beautiful home. The layout's not going to quite work for my buyers and that kind of thing. And so I felt like buyers are still being very particular. I mean, they know they're still paying top dollar for homes. And so they want what they want. And in Bloomington, they are not going to settle. They are not going to buy out of desperation. Most of the people are kind of already settled in wherever they are right now, and they don't have to buy. They just want to buy. And so when you're in that situation, you're not going to force a round peg into a square hole kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting to me was that I had at least 3 realtors that I can think of off the top of my head, 3 say my buyers love it. They're so excited, but they need to go get pre-qualified. And I felt bad for them because we talk about this. Do we not talk about this all the time?
Yeah, we do talk about it all the time. And I think other agents are always talking about it as well. Like,
Yes,
show me your letter, show me your pre-approval letter.
but they knew that they could not make an offer without being pre-qualified, and they just didn't have their ducks in a row. There was one buyer who thought she might need to sell her current home before buying, but she wasn't sure about, like, she hadn't even looked into any of that.
Hmm.
And so that was very eye-opening to me. And so we're going to beat that horse dead and keep sending that message out. Get pre-qualified. How hard is it to get pre-qualified, Karen?
It's not very hard. And if it
Half
is,
of work.
wait, what'd you say?
You have to take a day off of work to do it?
No, 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 no. You can do it in the middle of the night behind
Yeah.
your computer screen if you want to, and then your lender's going to get back to you first thing the next day. But I think too that if you don't know if there's going to be any complications, right, in your pre-approval, that's even more so to be like, let's get this show on the road as far as that part's concerned, because you may feel everything's good, everything should be fine, but there could be something in there. You want to be able to go view that house, and as you're walking out, talk with your realtor to say, I want to make an offer on this.
And I will tell you, that was a very, very important factor to my sellers. And in fact, the offer that we got had been pre-qualified, but not for quite the purchase price amount.
Mhm.
And very concerned. My sellers were very concerned about that. I felt pretty confident, but we did actually counter back and require them to provide us a pre-qualification letter by the end of day yesterday, which they did, and it was fine. But that was very important to my sellers, and I have to think that's very important to a lot of sellers to have that. So do it. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't. Nobody will die. Nobody will get pregnant. It'll be fine. Just go get pre-qualified. Somebody been saying that to me. When you're like stressed out about something or having to do something you don't necessarily want to do. And they're like, did anybody die? Did anybody get pregnant? Because those are like the two worst things, right? So the other thing I wanted to mention, I have to look at my notes over here, was that for buyers, there's still not a ton of negotiating room, but we are not seeing things going $10,000 or $20,000 over list price. Definitely. So this is a much better time than last year when things were really crazy. And in fact, the people who made the offer on this house the other day got in a little bit under list price because it was a good, solid offer. And we're like, let's do it, because sellers are seeing the value and being done and moving on. So this is a good time where you've got a little more wiggle room as a buyer. If it's the first day on the market, you may not have much wiggle room, but if it's been on for a week or so, you might be able to get some closing cost assistance and things that we just weren't seeing last year. So that's certainly, I think, a positive to consider for buyers.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's right in time, it's summertime, and this is the time I always feel like people, once we get through the Memorial Day holiday or the weekend, but, if they're wanting to be settled into a different location before school starts, this is also that time to be getting that part ready.
Right. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to just mention quickly, and I know most of these videos are typically geared towards buyers, but from the seller aspect, we've also seen some houses just sitting on the market that are perfectly fine houses, very nice houses. But for whatever reason, and a big one is condition, and it's more cosmetic, right? So I always tell my sellers that once we list your house, we are internet dating. So those pictures have to be great. And then when you show up in person, it's got to be, pretty close to what the pictures are. But if you've got something where the grass hasn't been mowed or there's weeds or the curb appeal is not quite there, it's going to get passed by. And as much as the seller's like, well, that's just cosmetics. They can just put some mulch down. Buyers in today's world, again, know they're paying kind of top dollar. And so they don't want to do those kinds of projects unless they think they're fun. And nobody thinks mulch is fun. Karen, you probably need to do at your house.
We need to do that. But I was just with my brother over the weekend, and he had a tree fall down. So he's creating his own mulch, but it's a process. But you're right.
Yeah. They just don't do that. And so I think thinking that it's a seller's market and that I can just throw my house up on the market with bad pictures and not really do much to it, it's going to become the bridesmaid, never the bride. You're always going to be in second place. And I've got a couple listings like that I'm like fighting over, like, come on, we need to do this or we need to do that. So it's important as a seller to still be realistic as well, because buyers do have pretty high expectations, which, I think is fair with what's going on. So that's all I got. Go get pre-qualified.
Yeah. Yes. Come and see me to get pre-qualified.
Exactly.
You trust your best friends to give you good advice.
So consider us your best friends in real estate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.